Welcome, folks. New week, new life, new teachings to bring new life. We continue with our mimer, Anila Doidi. We're in the midst of prayer and understanding the uniqueness of prayer. And we've gone up many rungs on the ladder, beginning with a general connection that doesn't incorporate the heart yet. Haydul Hashem, acknowledgement, just acknowledging that there's something greater than us. That's how the prayer service begins. From there, we go into Psuki de Zimra, the words of Zimra that have a double meaning, means song, which means there's an excitement, there's an emotional excitement of connecting to Hashem. At the same time, that allows that excitement to Zamer to prune the areas in our lives where take away from the nutrition, the life that we get from above, the life that we get in our prayers, that we are engaged in conversation that has no value. Then we come to the blessings of the Shema, where angels are up on a higher summit, Seraphim who are burnt up in the passion that comes from an awareness of the divine, their source in the divine, and beyond that, Ifanim that don't grasp it, but they grasp it. There's something greater than themselves. And then we come to the Shema, where now we incorporate not just in Psuki de Zimra, an emotional excitement of connection, but we incorporate here now an awareness, an understanding about that connection. Shema Yisrael, right? That Hashem is Hashem Echad, the oneness of God. So much so that it affects even the animal soul. The animal soul becomes aware, and grasping the goodness of the divine. Godly soul gets the truth. The animal soul is appreciative and grasping the goodness of God as creator, God in your personal relationship with him. And even beyond that, well, I don't know if there's anything beyond our relationship. And then we come to the Amida. The Amida, where there we ask for our personal stuff. How do we ask? In a way of bittul b'mitzias. So who wants stuff in their life? Someone who's a mitzias. You're a something, then you want something. By the way, the greatest something you want is health and financially be secure. Livelihood. That is the greatest stuff that you could have. And when do we ask it? When we're bittul b'mitzias, where there is no being that has a personal agenda. Because the asking for even our health and our sustenance is an asking not for our because that's what we want, but that's what we need in order that we could truly be a servant of God. That's bittul b'mitzias. But now it continues, interesting. And of course, people feel that that's that's the highlight, that's the high point, that's the top of the rung, right? Take 3 steps back, 3 steps forward for your private audience with the Almighty. That's pretty awesome. In a sense, everything till then, um, yeah, of course, in a sense, you're talking to God, but really, you're really talking to yourself. Really talking to yourself in prayer, right? Until you come to the Amida, then now you're standing before God and you're talking to Him. Again, all of prayer is, but it's more, when you are Suki de Zimra, when you are pruning, well, you're pruning yourself, right? So who are you talking to? You're talking to that element in you. Yes, it's in praise of God. You're sort of more speaking of God than directly to Him. It's by the Amida, you are like a servant before his master. You're right there. You're like a child before your father. It's interesting here. He only says about a servant before his master, and other places also says a child before his father. In any case, so the uniqueness of the Amida, seemingly the high point, but now, sorry, says though, because the Shema comes before the Amida, which means grasping godliness, each person in their capacity to grasp the divine, and that leads then into the Amida, where there's Bittul Mitzias, where you're standing as a servant before the master, speaking to God, making the personal requests, again, in a manner that it is not out of anything but the needs for the master, even for our health, believe it or not. This is, sorry, since it's prefaced by the understanding, and then comes Bittul Mitzias, it's not Bittul Be'etzem. It's not Bittul Atzmi. It's not an effacement that is core and essential, because it was prefaced by an understanding. It doesn't elaborate over here. I'm not, to be quite frank, I'm not 100% clear on this. Maybe you learned anything on this? Well, he says because it's prefaced by Havana, Saga in Kriya Shema, right? So it's not Bittul Atzmi. It's only Bittul B'Mitzias, one asks, right? In other words, the point being that one thing leads into another, so therefore, since it's being led by a grasp, right, which is you grasping godliness, right? When you understand it's the you of you that's understanding. There's a you there, right? So, and that's prefacing the Amida, so it won't be an essential self-effacement, an essential submitting to the divine. It will be Bintul B'Mitzias, there's no you there, but not essentially so. This is what it says here. So interesting now, what he says further is in brackets. He says in brackets, therefore, after the Shemona Esrei, after we do the Amida, we have what's called Nefilas Apayim. We fall, right? With Tachnun, supplication, right? When we say Hashem, Hashem, Kel Rachum V'Chanun, 13 divine attributes of compassion, which we don't say on Shabbos, we don't say on a day there's no Tachnun, right? This is the supplications. And what do we do by that supplication is that we bring down our head, that the head, the feet, there's more of an equality between them. The concept is, when you're standing in the Amidah, the head's the head, the heart, right? There's a hierarchy in the individual. And even though it's Bittul B'Mitzias, there's this submitting that is, there is no you, right? So much so that your request for health is not, it's not your, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not coming out of your neediness of the body, of the animal soul, right? We've all been sick, and it's just, can't take this. Feels terrible. Get me out of this. God, come on. Right? That's us seeking healing because doesn't feel good. Right? That's not a Bittul B'Mitzias at all. Bittul B'Mitzias is that we're making that request because that way I could truly serve you in the best possible manner. But since it came by a self-awareness, you're standing there, there's a hierarchy, so it's not complete bittul. When is complete bittul, this complete submission, is when the head and the feet have an equalization. And by Nefilas Apayim, that's what it's called, the falling, literally falling of the face, right? Which means that we just put our hand up and we put our head down. We put it down when we say the Tachanun, the supplication. And since physically represents the spiritual, so physically that's what we do, representing the equating of head and feet. What does that mean, equating it? And there isn't this hierarchy. When there's a hierarchy, so then the submission will be still not essential, because it'll be based on something. And here, it's like the bittul of Moida'ani. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you say the prayer, Moida'ani, first thing in the morning. What kind of submission is there? Is it you have an understanding of anything at that moment? You just woke up. You have deep feelings. No. But it's not like it is core. It is from the core of you to the core of God. And that's what the Nefilas Apayim is. So that finishes the prayer. So now, we recall we spoke about Torah and we spoke about prayer. Two ways, two services. One is from above to below, and one is from below to above. Above to below is Torah, right? Why? Because it's God's word. It's his teachings. Yes, we need to understand it, but it's precipitated from above, right? It's about his word that, yes, we need to grasp and understand. Now, why and then prayer is from below. What's below? You can't get lower, in a sense, than the human heart. Because in the human heart is where we have all of our darkness, our personal desires, the lusts, the addictions, and so on, are in the human heart. So prayer is about transforming that. But transforming, so that's from within the individual and moving yourself upwards. Right? As we said, the ladder, moving yourself up. So and we need to engage in both. Why do we need to engage in both? Because it's given these two things to a person who has a neshama, who has a soul that is connected to a body, right? That's when a person is called Adam. It is only when you have a soul above, is not called Adam. Soul here in a body is called Adam. Now, what's the nature of the soul? Nature of the soul is it wants to soar. It wants to rip out of the body. It doesn't want to be confined, constrained to the body. That's what it wants. That's its nature. What's the nature of the animal from within? It wants to go down, right? Animals look down, right? Animals are on four. Why are they on four? Because they look downwards, because they're drawn downwards, right? The physical world is drawn by the force of gravity. Well, animal representing that in us, we're drawn downwards, meaning to materialism, to being self-absorbed. That's down, right? So the goof, by its the body by its nature, is downward, to bring us down. And as the spirit of the animal is downwards. So the ultimate intent is in the unifying the connection between body and soul, meaning that each one has to do the opposite of what its nature is. Right? The opposite. What's the nature of the neshama? Is to go upwards. So what does it need? Something to draw down. It needs something to draw down. So it won't go upwards, if you will, right? What is to draw it down and to draw godliness down? The body, which its nature is to go down, it needs to have an aliyah. It needs to be raised up. That's why there's two paths in divine service, because we need both of them. We need both from below to above, from above to below. Prayer and Torah, in order to affect both in the soul and in the body the opposite of their nature. All right, we'll continue with this thought. Mitzvah Hashem. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.